Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be, how could the narcissist maintain the mask so long? Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So you now know, or you're learning, that the narcissist wears a mask, figuratively. And what that mask is, it's meant to draw people in, to lure people into the web, to lure people into relationships, to lure people into that zombie-like, trance-like state, which is the narcissistic fog. The narcissist gets supply from anybody who is breathing air, from children, from colleagues, coworkers, neighbors, romantic interests, from their spouse. They get supply from pets, from trains, planes, automobiles, from shopping. They get supply from acting rudely or having people tolerate their poor behavior. They get supply from giving people the silent treatment and from verbal abuse, etc. But how they could maintain the mask so long when they were in that relationship with you, this is a very, very important question that many people, they still can't fathom. They can't understand, how could this be? How could the narcissist have done this for so long? Well, there are many reasons why. The first reason why is you most likely were caught up in the trauma bond. You most likely were thinking of that person you are considering right now, meaning the narcissist, of when you first met them, how it was during that love bomb or euphoric stage. You probably were thinking that they were a person that was trying their best to work with you, and a person who maybe they had a rough childhood and maybe they had a couple bumps in the road, but you could be there to fix them. You could be there to elevate them, and you could be there to patch up whatever they would throw at you. You were committed in that relationship. The narcissist wasn't. They knew you were committed. They knew they weren't. The narcissist wore that mask super tight on their face. It was super glued in the beginning of that relationship. That's why so frequently people who are love bombed, they spend so much time with the narcissist physically, meaning spending time with them, definitely a lot of time with them texting or on the phone, and an awful lot of time answering to them and wanting to be with them. Because this is how the narcissist sets the trap. This is how they lay that big web, and they cast this big web out to see how many people will fall into that trap. And you were the person who they were targeting, although they were also vetting and trying to groom other sources of supply when they were working on you. It's that you had the most to offer, or perhaps you had the highest level of empathy, and perhaps you had some other assets, perhaps money and patience and time and devotion and commitment, and maybe you told about your religious beliefs, etc. What you did in the beginning of that relationship is you told the narcissist everything they wanted to know. You were an open book. You most likely were vulnerable, and you were believing in their mask. You were believing that they were like you. You were believing that they were like-minded like you were. That's why, again, during so many videos I create, I mention that there's no such thing as a coincidence on this planet, and there's no such thing as it being a coincidence that the narcissist met you, because in the beginning, you probably were showing them everything of who you were, because you are an authentic, honest, genuine, healthy, stable, loving person. Well, the narcissist took that and they manipulated it. That's why they took on your hobbies. They took on your hairstyle, perhaps. Maybe they even wore clothes like you, like a mini-me, or their version of clothes. And that's why they like the same brands, the same car, the same colors, the same restaurants, the same music, the same interests. They did this all on purpose. Most of those things I just shared, they probably didn't know anything about. They probably studied them as they were studying you and learned about them. Some of them, maybe they did have some interest in them, but not to the level of interest that you had in them. You see, the narcissist was trying to get closer to you, and they were wearing that mask. And each and every minute you were in that relationship during the love bomb / euphoric stage, you were falling for them more and more, and you were believing in them more and more, and you were putting them higher up on a pedestal to the detriment of yourself, and you were being molded, you were being groomed, you were being tricked and trapped and manipulated, and you had just entered, although you didn't know it, just entered a narcissistic relationship, and you were about to enter the deep end of the narcissistic toxicity abusive cycle. That would be the devaluation stage, but we're still in the love bomb here. When you were in that euphoric / love bomb stage, you thought that this person was the best person you had ever met. How could they be single? How come all of their exes treated them so poorly? How come they didn't have any money? How come they were destitute and their exes left them penniless? Why couldn't they keep a job? Why couldn't they hold down a job? And that their childhood, it was so difficult and so challenging, and they had it so rough, and so many people didn't treat them properly. They painted all these stories, planting seeds in your mind, telling you untruths about their past. Now, Anything the narcissist ever told you, you need to take it with a grain of salt, because most likely you were being manipulated whenever they were talking to you. Tough pill to swallow, but it's real. And anything of the past that you have no evidence of, most likely it didn't happen. Now you may say, well, no, I know certain things happen. Well, if you do, that's great, but you can't know everything because you weren't with them before in the past when they were telling you what they were experiencing. They were with somebody else, or it was a different period of their life. But the narcissist will play the victim card any way they can. They will do whatever they have to do to get their dirty fangs sunken into somebody. And once they sink those fangs into somebody, the love bomb is officially over. And now you've entered the deep end of destruction, the cesspool of manipulation, and the minefield of misery. This is the narcissistic fog. This is when you can do no right. This is when they're peppering you with abuse. This is when they don't like the music you like. They claim they never liked that music. This is when they want you to get a new car, even though you got a new car last year, because they want to get you to pay for them to get them a car. This is when no longer are they sending you the cute emojis. This is when no longer are they agreeing with you. This is when they begin to interrupt you. This is when they begin to pull out all of the ammunition that you align them with about your history, and they begin to use it against you, saying, yes, your brothers or sisters, they don't really like you, do they? Or when you're having that surgery, you're not going to be able to walk properly, because anyone that has a knee surgery, they usually don't walk properly. Real example, of course. Having said those things, this is when you begin to doubt yourself, because that person who you now profess that you loved, or you fell in love with, or now you had children with them, or you got married, or you relocated, or went into business with them, or maybe they were your roommate, you did something pivotal. Once you did something pivotal, that's when the dirty fangs were sunken into, and no longer were you the cute person that they claimed that you were. They now were using you as a human piñata. They were using you as a target. They were using you literally as their supply source. They were feeding off of you. And the narcissist was getting positive supply from you and negative supply from you. They were slowly having you lose your identity. You became a shell of yourself. You became an extension of them. And you were doing more and more for them to the detriment of yourself. And the reason you were doing more and more for them when you were in that devaluation stage is because you were trying to get back to the inception of that relationship. Yes, the love bomb stage. You could never get back there for a long period of time. Every now and again, you'd have a little sprinkling of love bomb in there, which means, and it doesn't have to mean intimacy, it can mean just no drama, no manipulation, no toxicity. Maybe you would get that for a day, once a week, or maybe you'd get it for 2 days a month, or who knows how long you would get it for. But as soon as you got it, and as soon as you were putting your guard down and saying, wait, this relationship is great, this person's actually being nice again, I'm super happy, I need to take advantage of this, then boom, the other shoe drops. And here we go. Now you're being peppered with abuse, you're being blamed. Maybe you were given the silent treatment. Maybe the mask was slipping more and more, and the narcissist actually threw verbal abuse at you. I'm sure they did that. Maybe they were blaming you for more and more things. Maybe they were planting seeds of doubt in your mind and saying that the neighbors don't like you, and what people at work are talking about you, or what happened to your hair. It used to be so beautiful and now it's not looking as good as it used to be. Or what happened to your clothes don't fit you any longer, or maybe they're too loose or too tight. You see, the narcissist became a different person almost overnight once they knew they had their fangs sunken into you, and they began to devalue you more and more and more, and you were trying to patch up whatever they were throwing at you, defending yourself, explaining yourself, and giving them supply the whole time. While that supply you were giving to them was continuing to fuel them, to have them maintain that relationship for as long as they wanted to maintain it, you were experiencing death by 1,000 paper cuts. And that's what these relationships are. They're micro paper cuts that add up over time to death by 1,000 paper cuts, because every time the narcissist would verbally abuse you, that would be consumed in your brain, and you would be remembering what they said, and you would be remembering the seeds of doubt they were planting in your mind. And again, before you know it, you weren't functioning at your job properly, your health was definitely taking a hit, your relationships were being blown up left, right, and center, people weren't talking to you as they used to, people weren't paying attention with you, people were listening to the smear campaign that the narcissist was administering to, including people such as your immediate family members, people at work, your neighbors, people you shared in common with the narcissist, or anybody you introduced them to. You see, the narcissist was setting up the discard here. They were setting up the demise of you. They were setting up them actually having to rip the mask off, smash it to the ground in 1,000 pieces, and show you how little they cared about you and how much disdain they had for you. But again, they were keeping the mask on, although it wasn't super glued to their face here, it was on a lot looser. And you would see cracks in the armor throughout that whole relationship. Once you entered that devaluation stage, which is the second stage of the narcissistic abusive cycle, you saw the mask slip more and more and more, but you didn't know what it was because you weren't educated on narcissism. Example, maybe the narcissist threw a fit at a restaurant, or maybe they stormed out of a restaurant, or maybe they berated a clerk or berated a person on an airplane or something, and you would be saying, who does that? Like, why are you behaving that way? I don't get it. And then they would look at you and they would turn their attention on you and say, what's your problem? I can do whatever I want to. No one tells me what to do. That person had it coming, and I'll keep doing this if I want to. No one can control me. See, they were already becoming unhinged, and they knew that you were a built-in audience and you were committed to them, and you would try to help them. You would help try to regulate them, just like you were doing from the minute you met them, although you didn't know it because you didn't know what narcissism was. Now, as you're being peppered with abuse more and more and more and trying to fix an unfixable relationship, which was the relationship that you were in with this person, they were grooming other people behind your back. Perhaps they were on dating apps. Perhaps they were digging up old sources of supply. Maybe they began to start exercising more and more frequently and getting their body in great shape when you had been married to the narcissist for X number of years. And you'd be scratching your head saying, why are you hitting the gym so often? I don't get it. And then they would be saying, what's wrong? It's my body. I can do whatever I want to do. What? I don't get it. You don't own me. And next thing you know, they go back to working out and they're getting in better and better shape. But you realize that they're not getting in better shape for you. You're in the back of your mind, you know something's off, something's amiss, something isn't right, but you didn't dare go call them out and say, are you cheating on me, or why are you doing this? You're not going to run a marathon, you're not going to join the Olympic ski team. I don't get why you're doing this all of a sudden. You're spending 3, 4, 5 hours exercising every day. Why are you doing this? Well, you now know why they're doing it. Yes, that's right. Ding, 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 new supply central. This is what the narcissist does. But you were damned if you did, damned if you didn't back then. If you said something to them, then here comes an excuse for them to throw in the silent treatment at you, storm out, begin to play the victim card with the new supply at their house, keep you isolated in your house while you were cooking, cleaning, raising the kids and doing everything else, and now you're isolated. And then when they come home after 5 hours and maybe a romantic rendezvous happened with the new supply, then they come in the door and you apologize for something you didn't do. This is how the cycle continues to go around and around. You see, the narcissist was getting the best of everything back then. They were peppering you and punishing you with abuse. They were grooming the new supply, cheating behind your back perhaps. They were having you be the unpaid helper and the walking apology in your own house. They were abusing you in your own house, and you were apologizing for it. This is how they trap people. But this is why the mask was slipping more and more. And it wasn't off fully, but you had seen fractures, you had seen cracks in the armor, but again, you didn't know what narcissism was. So eventually when they got the new supply lined up, or maybe even a few new sources of supply lined up, then they began to push you more and more and more away from them. And what they were trying to do is either have you discard them, and you didn't even know what a discard is, but you do now, which is the reverse discard, or they were waiting for a time to discard you. Or the third option is they would continue to be cheating on you, or continue to be grooming new sources of supply and getting in great shape while you were stuck being the unpaid helper and the walking apology and keeping every bill paid in the house. This is what they do. The narcissist will play the long game. They will play the longest game of anybody. Many times they will wait years or decades before they pull the plug on a relationship. You didn't know that back then, but now you do. So how they could keep the mask on so long, it's because they were getting away from you periodically. They were getting away from you sporadically to get other sources of supply lined up to pump up their fragile ego. And when you didn't see them, then what they were doing, what you were experiencing was isolation. And again, you were trying to put that relationship back together, but you didn't see them for as much time as you had in the beginning of that relationship. Remember, as I shared, in the beginning of that relationship, they couldn't get enough of you because they were running away from another source of supply while you were the new supply and you were the flavor of the month back then. See how it works? They were punishing the person before you, perhaps being with you when they told you they were single when they weren't, because they were already still in another relationship with another person, but they were isolating that person, having that person be the walking apology, the unpaid helper, etc. And then they were getting in great shape for you, hypothetically. Then they groomed you, and then you thought you found the best relationship ever known to humankind till your relationship ran its course, and then the cycle repeated. Then they were staying away from you, so they didn't have to show you that mask. They were away from you physically, and then they were grooming another source. And this is how they leapfrog through life. There is no stability with these people. There is no common ground. There's no we. There's no togetherness. There's no growth. All you get with these people is me, I. And so that's how the narcissist could keep the mask on so long. It's because in the beginning you saw an awful lot of it superglued throughout the body of that relationship. You saw less of the mask and more of the real person, but you didn't know what it was because you couldn't identify it. And at the end of the relationship, or towards the end, you didn't even see them nearly as much because they were doing to another person what they were doing to you. The other person was simply in a different part of the cycle, as now were you. You see, you were about to be in the discard part. There are 4 parts of the relationship. You must know this, you must remember it. There's the first, the euphoric stage, or the love bomb. The second part is the devaluation stage. The third part is the ending of the relationship, no matter how you cut it. And the fourth part, at times, is a hoover. Never, and I mean never, accept a hoover. You need to become unhooverable. You need to get off the radar of these people. You need to have a small footprint, and you need to stay out of the cycle. And you need to heal, and heal properly. But I just gave you an illustration of 3 different people who were in the relationship with the person you were in a relationship. This example, it may actually pertain to you, whether you know it or not. But I can assure you this, before you were in the relationship with this person, they were still in a relationship with somebody else. They were stringing somebody along, or multiple people. Then they found you, and then you got all their attention and energy for a period of time until you didn't, until they knew they had you on the hook. And then they went out getting your replacement, biding their time, knowing that you would get burnt out and that you would either discard them or reverse discard them, or they would to you. And then they would go on to the new supply. And that's how the cycle goes around and around. And that's how these people can keep on the mask so long. It's because you see a heavy dose of them in the beginning. Throughout the rest of the relationship, you don't see that much usually. And towards the end, you see very little of them frequently. And when you see very little of them, and this doesn't pertain to every relationship, but a lot of them, when you see very little of them, it's because they're off doing something else with somebody else, gallivanting the globe, using another person to abuse. This is why the cycle continues to go around and around and around, in a loop of manipulation, a loop of destruction, a loop of non-transparency, and a loop that is toxic that you must remove yourself from. So everyone, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning. No matter where you are on the planet, you are not alone. Remember that, you are not alone. I love you all. God bless you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. And that's how the narcissist could keep the mask on so long. It's because they had you trapped in that narcissistic fog in the beginning. So that was the heavy lifting in the beginning. Then throughout the body of that relationship, they took whatever they could from you. Time, money, energy, effort, health, relationships, love, whatever they could take from you. And then as they were devaluing you and destroying your assets and your mindset and all of your, everything that you had to offer, all of your utility, as they were taking that, they were grooming somebody else. So this is why they could keep the mask on for so long. And this is how they string multiple people along at any one time. It wasn't just you, no matter what you think. The narcissist is not loyal, they're not stable, they're not honest, they're not transparent, they're not forthcoming, and they only care about themselves. And now you're understanding that these people do not change. They only deteriorate, they only get worse over time. I love you all, God bless you, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. I thought it was gonna rain today, and it didn't. I came out so excited for this thunder and lightning storm, but I missed it, so maybe tomorrow. I hope wherever you are, you're enjoying yourselves. I love you all, God bless you. Huge virtual heart and virtual hug to you all. Bye. I love you, bye.